Good morning and welcome everyone to this session on using mindfulness to beat stress. This is our second session in the Stress to Smiles series. The last session, what we spoke about was what is stress and how to identify stress, because it has become so common. We have got so used to living with stress that many a times we may not realize that we are stressed. So what are the physical, emotional and cognitive ways of identifying stress? We discussed about what are the causes of stress. And in fact, we'll be happy to hear from you also. What is causing you stress in your life? You can unmute and speak, or you can type in the chat. And we discussed about how to be resilient. We discussed the strategy. Anyone remembers what was the strategy we discussed last time? Anyone would like to share what was the strategy to be resilient and beat stress that we discussed last time? So that was controlling the controllable, how we can focus on what we can do in any situation rather than worry about the outcome. Let us be focused on what is it that we can do. And that is what is going to lead us to the current session, which is using mindfulness, which is also controlling what we can do and managing our emotions and things around us. I'll request everybody to keep your cameras on. That was a requirement for the session. There are many challenges, as I mentioned, that we are facing these days. And some of the common challenges that we have are related to relationships, whether at workplace or at home. It could be related to finances. When the stock markets are going up, people are worried when will they crash. When they are going down, people are worried, whether it will ever go up. Uh, you know, Financial challenges are very commonplace for many people. Many people, particularly in the middle class, are living from paycheck to paycheck, like how I was when I was in the corporate sector. And those who are rich, they are worried about whether I'm going to lose it all. And then there are a lot of health challenges that people have, either themselves or could be their family members. And many a times we develop our own unhealthy coping strategies, which include drinking or taking drugs, or so many other challenges. So these are some of the challenges that we face, which cause a lot of stress to us. And our objective today is to understand what is mindfulness and what are the components of mindfulness and how it can help us beat stress and be resilient. I would like you to share if this is your first session on mindfulness with me, or have you attended mindfulness sessions earlier? In case this is your first session, please type first. Or if you have attended sessions earlier with me on mindfulness, please type so. All right, Linda, you've attended many sessions. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Vikash. Attended. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, for Kalyani, it's the first session on mindfulness. Interesting. First, thank you for sharing, Poonam. Good. So we have got a good mix, and we will understand what mindfulness is and how it can help us. And some of the things that I share with you, and especially for those who have attended mindfulness sessions earlier, will feel that this is something already known to me. And if there is a repetition of fact, the mind tends to get bored and switches off. Or it is possible that I say something which challenges your core beliefs, and you may discard what I am saying. And then once we do that, then the whole of the session, we tend to switch off. So my request to you is to stay focused and get one thing that can change your life, and that I'm sure there is. And that one thing that you will learn and pick up, the golden nugget, can completely transform your life. I sincerely believe that mindfulness is a superpower, and with that superpower, we can accomplish anything that we want in our lives. And I would like to draw your attention to this 70-20-10 rule of learning, which says that only 10% of the learning happens in the session, by what the speaker is sharing. 20% happens when there is interaction and discussion that happens, and 70% happens when you practice it. So please be interactive in the session. As I mentioned earlier, we are not going to be sharing recording of this on the YouTube. So feel free to ask your questions, share any challenging experiences that you're having with stress, and we'll be happy to discuss that. And on that note, starting with mindfulness, the mindfulness definition, mindfulness is a contemporary practice based on the ancient meditation technique taught by Buddha. And this definition is given by Dr. John Kabat-Zinn from the Massachusetts General Hospital. It looks very simple, but is very profound. He says it is keeping one's complete attention to the experience on a moment-to-moment basis in an open and non-judgmental way. It is on this one sentence, we are going to have 1 hour session today. And we can have 5-hour session on this, we can have 10-hour session on this. This single definition encapsulates so much that we are going to discuss and do. So the whole the 4 series is essentially based on staying true to the experience that we are having from a moment to moment basis. As I mentioned, that the mindfulness has its roots in the Vipassana meditation technique, which was taught by Buddha 2,500 years ago. And the fact that, we are still talking about it, talks about the timeless appeal that this has. Vipassana literally means seeing things as they are, but we rarely see things as they are. We see things as we are. So we color everything that is happening with our own experiences. So the same event may be interpreted by different people in different ways. This technique was taught by Buddha, and then it got lost from India, but was brought back to India in 1960s by Sri Satyanarayan Goenka, the gentleman on the top right. And I had the benefit of learning it from him in 1991 when I first went for a Vipassana course. And he's no more, but is considered to be one of the foremost teachers of mindfulness in the world. And I got certified as a teacher from Sean, who lives in California. And he's got a website by the name mindfulnessexercises.com. Let me type it for you in the chat. Anyone who's interested in knowing more about mindfulness will find this. This is one of the best and most comprehensive mindfulness exercises.com. You can check this out, and this has got over 500 pages of content, amazing content on mindfulness, different exercises you will find here. And it's become extremely popular in the current times, and that is one of the reasons we are talking about it today. HBR talks about it, HBR Times has talked about it, and there are many hundreds of books that have been written on mindfulness. Business leaders have embraced it. So it has not remained in the realm of monks and nuns. It has come out into the business world and the corporate world. And the reason I'm sharing that with you is sometimes we have this misconception of that this practice is not for grahast. This is only for those who have given up on life. But it's not like that. The successful people are in fact using this to build their competitive edge. Sometimes, and we're going to talk more about the myths around mindfulness. But for now, I'd like to share that sometimes we feel that I'll become a vegetable or I'll lose my competitive edge if I practice mindfulness, but it is not so. Those who practice mindfulness are able to beat stress and become highly successful. And the stress could be again from multiple reasons. And in this case, for Mark Bertolini, who was the CEO of Aetna, which is a Fortune 50 company, it came in the form of poor health, resulting from an accident where he was fractured in his spine in multiple locations, and he was prescribed opioids to deal with the pain. And opioids are depressant, so you can so he got so depressed that he wanted to take his own life. And then somebody recommended him to try yoga and meditation. Then he tried meditation, and then he completely was weaned off the opioids. His pain did not go away, but his ability to deal with the pain went up. And then he introduced it. Now once you taste something which is that works for you, that's something good, then he introduced it. You want to share it with other people, and he introduced Etna his employees to his employees, and 13,000 of the 50,000 employees went through one or the other class of yoga and meditation. And this had a phenomenal impact on the organizational productivity, on the stock prices, and many other parameters. He has written a whole book. I think it is Radical Compassion by Mark Bertolini. You can Google it. And there he has talked about his own experiences of introducing mindfulness in Etna. Bill Gates practices it. Oprah Winfrey practices it. So, as I mentioned earlier, business leaders have embraced mindfulness for beating stress and becoming more productive at work. More than 70% of the Fortune 500 companies. Yes, Lavender, I agree. More than 70% of the Fortune 500 companies have mindfulness-based training programs. So that's in brief about mindfulness. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is for you to feel comfortable that this is a practice with this contemporary. And there are many reasons why we should practice mindfulness. And this is something which I would like to share with you. The mindfulness is a multi-dimensional concept, and it is impossible for anyone to cover it in 1 hour or 1 hour, 15 minutes that we have for today. So what I'll be sharing is parts of it. And, but that does not mean that is the only thing that is there to mindfulness. So why practice mindfulness? There are many reasons, but one of the reasons I love practicing mindfulness is because it has personally helped me move up the lower energy emotions to a higher energy space. So this is a very powerful study done by Dr. David Hawkins, which he has talked about in his book called Power versus Force. And he has calibrated the energy associated with emotions. And I have particularly experienced many of the low energy emotions. I didn't realize it then, but now I realize it. I have talked about it many times. I lost my father at an early age, and I have this, I had grief, which impacted me adversely, anger, fear. Worked in the corporate sector where there are challenges. I lost job. I lost job 5 times. The first time I lost job was when September 11 happened. I used to work for a stockbroking company, and September 11 happened. Stock market tanked, and they just cut down the employees. So I lost my job. It was very traumatic. It's like next to dying. Because there is everything that you invest in your job, and suddenly you don't have a job. So many of these low energy emotions I was trapped in, and my breakout kind of happened in 2014 when I went for a program by Louis Hay. And there I realized that there are patterns in my life which are playing out. And then I started understanding it and reprogramming my mind. So this mindfulness helps us understand. And when we look at the components of mindfulness, you will understand this better, how paying attention, becoming aware of our emotions can help us understand them and move up. So courage 200 is where which is the break-even point. Anything beyond that, you start getting uplifted, and then synchronicities start happening. And my practice of gratitude also helped me a lot. Gratitude is a very simple and powerful way to practice mindfulness. And with that, I just kept climbing up and up, and I'm leading a very happy and beautiful life by grace of God. So this is one of the reasons, and there are many more. It helps in beating stress, improving health, managing frustrations, addictions. I used to smoke. I used to be a not. I used to smoke like a pack a day, and my mindfulness practice helped me give up smoking, improves teamwork, collaboration, and it's anti-aging for anybody who's interested in. I'm interested in becoming younger, so it's anti-aging. But there are some challenges, like I mentioned earlier. ये है तो बहुत अच्छा, but मेरे लिए काम करेगा कि नहीं? बहुत सारे myths हैं लोगों को, and because of that, people don't really practice. Sometimes people feel that it's a quick fix. It's not a medicine which you can pop. And I did mindfulness practice. Now my stress should go. No, it's not like that. It needs regular practice, and it's a skill which we need to develop. And like any skill, like learning to play a game or learning to write alphabets, it takes time. But as we keep practicing, we keep getting better and better. Another myth about mindfulness is that it involves emptying our mind. अपना mind को सारे thoughts से खाली करना पड़ेगा. No, it's not like that. It is just observing. Like I mentioned, Vipassana is just looking at things. So it is observing thoughts as they are without trying to change them. We are not trying to empty our mind. We are not trying to change our thoughts. We are just observing. But when you observe, you get the power to manage them better. It is not even trying to stop thinking. We are not going to do that exercise, but we do that sometimes. How to stop trying to see how futile it is to try and stop thinking. And it is not even escapism. Now what happens is, when you start practicing mindfulness, your thinking changes, and sometimes people think that, and many things which matter to other people don't matter to you. So people think, this guy, is escaping life. He's not really leading life full on. But that is not true. It's just that many things don't bother you. Like I have talked about it earlier. I don't have a car. It's not because I don't have money to buy a car, but I don't need, and because I don't need, I don't have a car, which does not mean that it's simply because I'm not living life as per others. I'm living life as per my own thing. So some people may think it is escapism, but it is not escaping duty, responsibility, or anything. It is just living consciously. So that's in brief about mindfulness so far, and I'll stop here to see if you have any questions or comments before we go on to understand the 5 components of mindfulness, which will deepen our understanding. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much, Devparna, for sharing that. Anybody would like to ask any question, comment, any doubts you have, and then we will dive a little bit deeper into understanding the 5 components of mindfulness, which is what Dr. John Kabat-Zinn talks about in his definition. If we are good to go, please type GTG that we're good to go.
Hello.
Yes, Kalyani.
Ashish Kalyani here.
Yes.
Actually, I never realized that the stress caused me to eat a lot, really speaking. And I'm still trying to get over it. Like, I'm understanding that how much I should eat, what is good for me, all those things. But still, that craving doesn't go away.
Yeah.
That's my problem. I'm trying mindfulness technique, trying to be in present, trying to having some hobbies, all these things. I'm a cancer patient, and that's why it's more important to me.
Yeah. So I'll talk a little bit more about it, Kalyani. I think that's a great question that you've asked. I'll talk more about it when we come to awareness part. And in case I miss, please ask your question once again. And difference between mindfulness and meditation, that's a great question, Devparna. So what happened is Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, along with Daniel Goleman, met Dalai Lama sometime in 1970s. And what Dalai Lama asked them to do is to strip meditation of all its religious connotations and come up with a practice which is secular and simple. And that is what mindfulness is. So mindfulness is meditation stripped of all religious connotation. That in simple words is what mindfulness is. But don't worry about what is mindfulness, what is meditation. Understand that mindfulness basically means observing our thoughts, emotions, people, things as they are without coloring them with our experiences. And it is not the event that happens, or it's not the thought which is good or bad. It is our thinking that makes it good or bad. That is what the difference in, that is the impact mindfulness has. We start stripping the experience of the interpretation that we bring to it. The experience in itself may not be good. And I'll just give you a simple example. I have two daughters, and one is younger, one is elder. And when they were younger, my wife would scold them whenever they were doing something mischievous, and my younger one, my elder one would get एकदम सहम जाती थी वो कि माँ डांट रही है मेरे को. And the younger one is mischievous. She will keep laughing and smiling. Even as the mom is scolding. So same event, but being interpreted by two different people in two different ways. One is getting scared, and one is just mischievous and playing along. So each one is interpreting things. The event is same. I hope that is making sense there, Pranav.
It does, Ashish.
Okay.
It does.
Thank you. So we will move on and see what are the 5 components of mindfulness. Now, just to refresh our understanding, it's mindfulness is keeping one's complete attention to the experience on a moment-to-moment basis in an open and non-judgmental way. Now, let us look at any guesses on what's the first component of mindfulness? Please type in the chat. Look at this definition and okay, let's look at this. Look at this definition and come up with what you think are components of mindfulness. No right or wrong answers, but obviously it helps us understand this definition a little better on our own before I share with you what the components are. Anybody? Complete attention, awareness, very nice, very nice. Awareness, yes, sensations, feelings, very nice. Non-judgmental, very good, very good, very good. I think you've largely got it. So let's just, yeah, very, very nice, very well said, Manojji. So let's just look at these components. I think you've got it all. Yes, being in the present, pausing, beautiful. So first, and the foundational element of mindfulness is attention. And this is amazing. What we can do with our attention is truly, truly amazing. And this is where the whole mindfulness starts, our ability to hold attention in the now. To what is happening now, and we're going to talk more about it as we go along. And second one is awareness of what is happening. The awareness of what I am thinking, or what I am experiencing, and this works at multiple levels. One level is awareness of my own thoughts and emotions, and another one is awareness of the thoughts and emotions of other person, which is where a lot of emotional intelligence comes in, and the awareness of what's happening in the environment. So this works at a couple of levels. And then accepting, which is very simple but very powerful and often misunderstood. And then we're going to talk about ego, which is not identifying, with what with my thoughts, feelings, etc., and choice. So we'll talk a little bit more about this in detail as we go along. But before that, let us do a practice of mindfulness to experience these and get a better understanding of what mindfulness is and what these 5 components are. And in the second half of the session, we will relate the mindfulness practice to the to the definition and the components of that. But before that, I would like you to share with me, not share with me, but just do a stress check of how stressed you are feeling. And if you're feeling very, very good, you are 0. And if you are feeling highly stressed, then you are 10 or somewhere in between. So you don't need to share the number with us, but just type D in the chat box once you have made a note of how stressed you are in the present moment. All right, thank you, Poonam. Please noted. Okay, okay, okay. How just tune into your bodies and see how okay, good. So tune in and see how stressed you are and keep that score. And then we will I now invite you to a brief practice of mindfulness. Please sit straight with your back and neck in a straight line. Gentle smile on your face. Your hands on your lap, palms facing upwards, back straight but not stiff, eyes gently closed, chin parallel to the ground. And bring your attention, entire attention, to the area at the entrance of your nostrils. And observe every breath that is coming in and moving out as it is. Observe every breath coming in, every breath moving out as it is. Continue to breathe. This is your me time. This is your time with yourself. Enjoy the process of observing your breath. We take about 25,000 breaths every day, but we hardly do so consciously. This is your opportunity to observe every breath that is coming in and every breath that is moving out. If you find that your mind is wandering, gently, with compassion, bring it back to focus on your breath once again. Your breath may be coming in from the left nostril or the right nostril. Just observe as it is. It may be deep or shallow. There is no need to regulate it. Just observe your breath as it is. Putting our attention to our breath is a great way to build present moment awareness. We can't go back to a breath that we've just taken. Nor can we go to a future breath. That way, we train our mind to be in the present. And that is why present is also called a gift. A focused mind is a happy mind. A distracted mind is an unhappy and stressed mind. Continue to breathe, paying attention to every breath that comes in, every breath that moves out. Wandering of mind is not a mistake. It is its nature. Every time you find that your mind has wandered away, back to focus on the breath that is coming in and breath that is moving out. Like a watchman who is always alert and observes every person coming in and moving out. You too observe every breath coming in and moving out. Continue to breathe. In a couple of seconds from now, we'll be coming to the end of this practice. Consider setting an intention that this practice of being mindful will help you and everyone come in contact with. Thank you for practicing mindfulness with me. You may choose to keep your eyes closed for a couple of seconds more and stay with the feeling. And once you're comfortable, please share your experience of how this practice of mindfulness felt for you. Whenever you're ready, you may gently open your eyes and return to the present. Please keep your cameras on. You may share your experience in the chat or unmute and speak.
Feeling sleepy.
Yeah, that happens because the mind gets relaxed. It induces sleep. Yeah. What I will also urge you to do now, thank you, Kalyani. Okay, yeah, it takes practice, Dr. Lelofer. To look at the stress scale once again and see what your stress score is now and share with us the difference in the stress score. We don't need to know your stress. Thank you, Vikash. Thank you, Fahad. We don't need to know your score, just the difference. Suppose it was 10 earlier and 7 now. Please type 3 in the chat. Or it was 9 earlier, 5 now. Type 4 in the chat. Just the difference. 2, okay. Thank you for sharing. So 2 is a 20% reduction in stress in less than 10 minutes of practice. So once you practice, build this as a part of your daily life, this short practice, then you can imagine the kind of impact it can have on your health and everything else in the days and weeks to come. As I mentioned earlier, we used breath as an anchor in this exercise. And once we learn, we get more skilled at using breath as an anchor. It helps us manage our emotions better, manage our attention better. Earlier, we may find that, our attention goes, we lose our, like, we pick up a phone and then, to watch WhatsApp, and then we are sucked into it. And, or if we go to Facebook just to see something, and then we are sucked into it for an hour watching reels, and then we don't realize. So all of that gets reduced over a period of time, and then you stay focused and build attention. There are other ways to root our attention to the present. We used breath today. There is another very powerful one, is using body sensations to root our attention to the present. And we are not going to do a body scan meditation today, but I'll urge you to check out the YouTube link of Mindful Living. There are meditation sessions done on body sensation earlier. That session name is Tuning into Body Intelligence. Fahad, please share the link of our YouTube channel. So in case you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel and watch the other videos there. Now, coming to the first foundation. Thank you, Bhavna. Thank you. Now, coming to the first component of mindfulness, that is attention. This is the foundational and a very powerful practice, and we can understand attention by thinking of a torch in a dark room. When we are in a dark room and there are no lights, what we see is what we focus the torch on. Similarly, when we have, when we think of attention, whatever we are focusing our attention on is what we experience. I think in Upanishad it says that yatha drishti tatha srishti. So it is like what you focus your thoughts on is what you see. It's like that torchlight also. What you focus on is what you see. And this is very powerful. Think it when it comes to stress, of course, because like I mentioned earlier, a distracted mind is an unhappy mind. Also because a distracted mind, it's very difficult for us to contribute to our fullest. Let me ask you something. When you think of the word attention, what are some of the words that come to you? Like, we spotlight is one that we just discussed. What are the other words that come to you? Also, you could, sorry? Focus, detail. Yeah, okay. Aware, yes, very nice. So when we hold our attention, or when we develop the ability to hold our attention, we become focused, and that is when we start becoming aware of our thoughts, and our thoughts are magnetic in nature. So what happens is, if we are in a low energy state, and we saw that in Dr. David Hawkins' low energy, in that chart. So if I'm not feeling good, then everything that I'm thinking is about that. So if I'm at risk of losing my job, then every subsequent thought will be related to that. So, the economy is so bad, government is doing so much, there's not doing anything for job creation. My friend lost a job. I lost a job when September 11 happened. My boss is bad. Everything that supports that losing of the fact, AI I'll lose my job because of AI, and all those thoughts will keep coming. That's called a train of thoughts, and I just ride that train, and that train then automatically takes me to wherever it wants to go, which is in the negative direction, because I'm not paying attention to it. I'm not aware of what is going on in my mind. But when I build the faculty of attention and awareness, then, I can change. And I realize that, and like Louis says, you need just one job. Why? It doesn't matter if the whole economy is not doing well. I can get, there are 3, 4, 5 crore people who are employed in the workforce. Can't I get one job? Don't I have any skills? What are the skills I have? What are the strengths I have? Whom can I reach out to? Then every subsequent thought is a positive one related to how can I get a job, how can I prosper. So when we start building the faculty of attention, we are able to stop the train of thought going in a negative direction and move it into a positive direction. This is something which I have found very, very powerful in managing. I'll give you one small example. I was staying in a hotel, with my wife. We were having a holiday, and that hotel was good, but there was one part of it which was not good. I think the service was not good, but service was not good, but the food was very good. And I could have cursed. I almost started cursing them, that why we are in this place, the service is so bad. But then I immediately changed my train of thought and made it, at least the food is good, the ambience is good, and then we overall had a good experience. So what could have been a disastrous holiday turned out to be a good experience. So similarly, in terms of our capability, I'm not good enough, and I can't do this, or I am good enough and can do this. These are thoughts, and sometimes we think that this is reality, but reality is what we make out of it. It's not any other reality. The reality is playing out at different levels. Like I said, yatha drishti tatha srishti. So we are creating our reality. So this ability to focus attention, the ability to be aware, is also what is related to me being a creator of my own experiences. So this is very, very powerful. And the best part that I like about this is that it can be trained. We can train our ability to hold our attention, as much like building a muscle in the gym. uh, you know, anybody who has worked in the gym or does yoga knows that it takes repetitions to build strength. So I pick up a weight and then I just keep repeating it. And similarly, in attention training also, that is what I was saying, that it's not a mistake when the mind wanders away. Every time the mind wanders away and you bring it back, it's like doing a rep, and you become stronger. Your muscle of holding attention becomes stronger, and you become better and better at holding attention. Also look at it in terms of our ability to accomplish work. Today there is so many people, so many companies I speak to, the employees that I speak to, they talk about having too much to do in too less a time. And that is where our ability to hold attention becomes in very handy, because what would normally take you 12 hours in a distracted frame of mind, you can now do in 9 hours or 6 hours, depending on how focused you are, and how good your quality of attention is. So that is where another application of attention comes in. And we get stressed when there is too much work to do, but if we can hold our attention, accomplish it in lesser time, then it leaves you time with your family, with your friends, to de-stress and do so much more. And one technique which helps us do is Pomodoro. I found that extremely useful, which is to set a timer for 25 minutes. You decide a task and then set a time of 25 minutes, and then don't do anything else in those 25 minutes. You can switch off your data, you can switch off your whatever you want to do. And even if some thoughts come, so what I do is I keep a piece of paper next to me, and if some thought comes, rather than just act on it, I make a note of it and keep it and continue working on what I need to do. And the power of this Pomodoro, and this is not my experience alone, anybody who has tried Pomodoro says that the productivity goes up not by 10 or 20%, it goes up by 100 or 200, 300, 400%. It's a extremely powerful technique to do, practice attention. So I'll pause here to see if you have any questions or comments on attention, and then we will move on. And I just realized that we have another 15-20 minutes. So if we are not able to cover everything, maybe we will do it in the subsequent session. Rather than rush through the presentation, we will go through it in a manner. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nilofer. We will do it in a manner that it makes sense to you. So no worries if you have any questions, comments, happy to take them before we move on to the next one, which is awareness.
Yeah. So can I ask?
Ashish.
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. So when I sit for meditations, there are days which are very good, like I'm able to focus and I'm at another level. And then there are days, when you keep getting distracted by the outside sounds also and by the inside chatter also, and knowing all the 100 techniques of, working with mind, body, and soul. Sometimes even clients' problems just come in between, and more than my own. Sometimes I start thinking about all that stuff, and then there is headache or heaviness, and then I think then I get up and I go out and breathe out and do those kind of other things rather than sitting quietly. So at times it becomes a challenge. So what to do about it?
That's an excellent question, Poonam. And I'll just urge you to hold on to this question uh, till we do awareness and acceptance, and maybe you will get your answer after that. Rather than me responding to your query now, just stay on a little bit.
There is no hurry.
Yeah. And we will then, I think it will get addressed. But for now, one thing I would like to share with you, and that works particularly well for me, is having compassion for yourself. We sometimes tend to judge ourselves that my mind is wandering, I am not good. Give up that judgment. Just be peaceful with yourself. If the mind is wandering, let it wander. Think of your mind as a puppy. If a puppy is playing, you're not going to whack the puppy and say, "Yeah, why are you playing? You come and sit here. Don't move." You're not going to do that. We feel very happy when the puppy is playing around. Or think it in terms of a small children. 1, 2, 3-year-old children. They're running around all over the place. And if you want them to sit still, you're not like slapping them and making them sit still. You just politely, with love, with compassion, ask them to sit and not make noise. So have that same compassion and love for yourself when you find your mind is wandering like a puppy or a child, and bring it back to focus on the present. So that's for now, and we will talk more about it. I hope this works, Poonam.
Yeah, thank you for now. Yeah, it works.
Yeah, try that. That's what I tried. I just made love and peace with my own thoughts whenever they were. So then I'm not judgmental about my own ability. Yeah.
So what I do is I say, yeah, today it's not working. So it's not like I judge, but
Yeah,
then
yeah,
I get up. So my question is how to continue doing, or it is okay to get up and do other things like, go out for a walk or something else. Is it okay, or do we
So
have to sit and continue? That was the question.
what I do is normally I have a rule of 3 for myself. This is not, I haven't read anywhere. This is just something I have come up with. If I find my mind getting distracted, so once it gets distracted, I bring it back. It gets distracted again, I bring it back. Third time it happens, I bring it back. After that, then I stop my practice and then go on and do something else. So that's what I do. You can set your own limit 5 times, 10 times, whatever that works for you. Because our thoughts sometimes are like storms. So there's no point when the storm is raging to just try and stand like a tree, just to let it pass. Just so that there are different ways you can approach this.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Dr. Nilambar.
Yeah, so I don't know if this question that I'm asking is relevant at this point of time. You can choose to park it as well. I want to get back to that point where you spoke about, that we look at things as we are and not as they are. And I mean, I also recently attended the Vipassana. So Guruji also says that, don't label the whatever sensation is coming, don't label it as good or bad.
Yeah.
So my question is around, say, suppose I have goofed up, okay, at the workplace or anywhere, I've goofed up. Now, we have been taught that goofing up is not great, right? It would come in the category of an aversion sort of part, right? So the point is now how not to label. And I've been trying to make sense out of this on my own, and I want your inputs on this.
Yeah. No, that's a great question, Dr. Nilofer, and I'll not share my inputs. I'll share what Robert Kiyosaki says to this.
Mm.
And he says, one of the best ways to learning is by making mistakes, which is like goofing up. Another way of saying that is. But the whole system today, either in the school or at workplace, punishes making mistakes. But he says the mistakes are the stepping stones to success.
Yeah.
How can you not make a mistake? Think of Edison, who goofed up 9,000 times before he came up with the filament which could light the bulb. So goofing up is perfectly okay and is the stepping stone to success. It's just that at workplace or in school we say if you goof up you are bad.
No, not bad by way of
Like,
there could be implications that money is, lost. Maybe an assignment is lost because of something as part of my goofing up. Maybe an assignment is lost, and that is this thing to the companies, a loss to the company. So it is in that sense, it is
yeah. No,
bad.
I get you. But it's also about the culture, that we have built up in the corporates today,
Yeah.
where making mistakes is looked down upon. Whereas most creative companies would have a culture where they celebrate failures. Because that is the only way they can keep the creative juices flowing. How will you keep creative juices flowing if everybody is looking down on what's going wrong?
No, so I was just with my own thinking, I was just wondering that can it be when we say we don't label, should it be that we reframe it or we are more solution oriented? I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just trying to put some sense into that. Otherwise, we definitely have things in good and bad boxes,
Reframing is very powerful, Dr. Milford.
Yeah.
It is it's similar to what I was sharing earlier, that experience of mine in the hotel where I reframed my experience to something different, and when we reframe it, we move from that low energy emotion to a high energy emotion, and then we are in a position to control. It's also uh, like when my daughters get poor exams in the school, the poor marks in the exams, I say it's not what you have got, but if you've got the learning from that, then if the poor exam marks don't matter. But if you keep repeating the same thing over and over again, then of course you are losing. But as long as you're getting learning from the experience, you're not losing. So I don't know if that helps, but that is what I would like to share with you. Just get the learning from that and move on. And the deals, you if you work on 10 proposals, one or two or three will happen. So seven, something or the other is going to go wrong, and one of those seven could be that you goofed up. But even if you didn't goof up did not mean the proposal would have come, because by law of nature only about 20-25% success will happen, not 100% success. So what is goofing up? We need to look at that context.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know if that helps, Dr. Nilofer.
Maybe by and by. Next time.
I can see you're not very convinced, but yeah, just stay with the feeling. Maybe
Yeah.
it'll open up, something. So now we're almost an hour up. Let's take another. What I'll do is I'll do awareness, which is the next one, and then we will continue with the remaining session next time. So awareness is the next component of mindfulness, and that is, once we build up the faculty of attention, it helps us becoming aware of what's happening in me, in other people, of our value. It helps me become aware of my values. It helps me become aware of the judgments I have about myself, about other people. It helps me become aware of the sensations in my body. Like in my case, and what also it helps us realize is that the sensations that we are having, or the judgments or the values that we are having, uh, change. It's not permanent. Like just to take, normally I stay away from talking about politics, but when Kejriwal came into the scene, we were thinking that he is a very honest person, but the recent experience doesn't hold that out. So our opinions may change. Our thoughts about other people may change. We may think this person is good, may turn out to be bad, and vice versa. And normally, the way this works very powerfully is when we start experiencing this in terms of what is happening in our body, in terms of sensation. So every thought or emotion has a corresponding imprint on our body. And this is what I used to kick off my habit of smoking. What I would realize is that there is an awareness, there is a, started becoming aware that the urge of smoking is coming, but that urge is not permanent and it will pass away. So I would just stand on the side and watch that urge of smoking to come and rise and pass away, rise and pass away. And 1 day, 2 days, and 3 days, so by the time 3 days got over, I was pretty confident that I'll not pick up the stick again. So that is what awareness does to us. And in the context of what Kalyani, you were asking, becoming aware of what I am eating or not eating, that itself is a first step in dealing with the issue. Once you start becoming aware, then the last component we talked about is choice, which is the ultimate component, where once you are aware, then you take a choice. And this can happen in many ways. Like when I was I'll just try to relate my smoking experience with the challenge you're having with eating. When I kicked off smoking, what I described to you was the last attempt, but there were many other attempts I made in between. And what I would do is just break the pattern, try and break the pattern. So if I'm feeling like smoking now, I'll not smoke now, but I'll push it by 15 minutes so that the urge passes. And then I would tell that I'll go and have a smoke after 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, if I still felt like smoking, I would smoke, otherwise not. So I broke the patterns. So that awareness helped me break the pattern, and eventually I could kick off the habit. So I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, it requires, but actually, Dr. Lilofer, this was not so much willpower. It was more just observing and letting it pass. With willpower, it didn't happen for, I smoked for 23 years before I quit. So it was not willpower. It's just this technique of observing, of being aware and letting it pass, not do anything about it. We'll be happy to hear about this, Deepak. And I will be happy to hear from Kalyani also if this is making sense to her. And
certainly, sir, on either day.
Another day?
Certainly, sir, on either day, because it will take at least 5 to 10 minutes to explain how I use 5 years, because it is used in industry. I'm using it for my mind gym.
So maybe in the next session, we will start with hearing about 5 years technique, Deepalji.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
And Kalyani, does this help awareness, what we discussed? You're on mute, Kalyani. Kalyani, you're on mute.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. I've been trying doing this. Actually, I'm now more into, I don't know why, whether it is acidity or something else, but I need to eat 4-5 times in a day, which actually aggravates. So now I have shifted to natural foods like fruits and vegetables and having something of that sort. But looking at my disease, they want me to actually go on total fasting, which is not coming yet. I have reduced quantity.
Fruit fasting or food fasting? Like fasting
food
on
fasting.
fruits? Fasting on fruit?
No. Total fasting. They want me to go for that, which is still not coming. It's been 3 months I have been behind this, and it will take some time. But yes, quantity is reduced. Qualitatively eating more dense food, that has been reduced, but still long way to go.
I'm signing up for a 30-day fruit challenge, eating only fruits, which I think will start during Navratri. If any one of you is interested, I can share in the group, and then we can all do it together, because there is a power when you do it together. We can motivate each other from doing that. So keep up with it, Kalyani. I think you are on the right track, and this will work. Just that awareness itself is very, very powerful, because that awareness helps us get the choice, helps us act with choice, act consciously, rather than just act automatically. Most of the times we are operating out of that conditioned program rather than act consciously, because that's how the mind is designed. So I think you're on the right track. Keep doing it. And
So I have your permission. I just want to speak to Kalyani.
yes,
Just one sentence. I reversed my own liver disease. I had this problem, and there was fibrosis, and there was a lot of other problems, and there was, of course, problem with eating. So I followed certain diet things where you don't need to fast, and you can connect with me if if you need that kind of help. I can help you with whatever suggestions I can give you. Okay, and with your diet, it will just support your immune system. And I'm not a nutritionist, so I'm saying it in front of everybody, but then I followed something, and that is a general diet for people who have any kind of diseases. Yeah. So if you feel, then you can connect with me. My name in the group would be, maybe it will show Mystic Poonam or something. You can just connect with me. Thank you, Ashish.
Sure, Poonam. Thank you, Deepak. And we are also drawing the session to a close. But before that, I'll be happy to hear from you one takeaway from the session today. So you may take a couple of seconds to ponder on what we have discussed and share in the chat and also in the Mindful Living group. What is your one takeaway from the session today?
Look, I'll definitely share on group.
Okay. All right.
Of course, I always become happy to hear from you, and a lot of takeaways. So I'm really grateful to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Deepak.
So Ashish, I had already put my thing earlier for me, that Pomodoro technique and getting distracted and keeping that. I think that was very nice. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Nilofer. Devparna, Ajir.
I was just going to unmute myself. I'm sorry, I'm not switched on my video. Mindfulness practice always, the best thing that it does for me is to bring me in the present, which is something that I'm working on. And that makes my stress alleviate by easily 10, 12 points very immediately. So it's always a very calming effect on me. So yeah, thank you. Very, very helpful session.
Thank you, Devparna. Ajir. So our next session, attention unlocks empowerment. Thank you for sharing that. Next session is same time next Saturday, and we are going to talk more about awareness and how it plays out in the realm of relationships and makes us happier, and also emotional intelligence. So we're going to talk about emotions, emotional intelligence, and relationships, and how that helps us become happier. So thank you everyone for taking out time and joining us this Saturday. Please also share your takeaways in the Mindful Living group that you're part of, as it will motivate more people to join the sessions and benefit from this. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.
Thanks, Ashish. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.